Hello and welcome to another Worship Leader Wednesday here at Worship Tutorials. I gotta warn you, whew, Fuller and I are feeling a little salty already.
We are the salt of the earth. That's biblical.
We've been talking about this topic, which I'm sure you know because you read the title of the video. Today we're going to talk about how to handle the last minute pastor.
Last minute pastor!
What do we mean by the term last minute pastor?
I think what we mean is by, seems like, based on our interactions, conversations with a lot of worship leaders and musicians everywhere, everything is either changed last minute, and I say last minute, I mean like Friday, Saturday.
Friday, yeah.
Yeah. Which for some of y'all might throw you off because y'all might not even give the songs out until Saturday. Guess what? If you're giving the songs to your team on Saturday, you're the last minute pastor.
Yes, you're right.
You're the last minute pastor. So we got to just look at the whole thing and go, all right, how much of this problem am I creating?
Yes.
Because it's so easy to blame other people.
Yeah.
And so if you're the worship leader that's giving your band, and they're out there because we hear it from musicians all the time. So either someone's lying or we haven't talked to enough people. But if you're giving your band songs on Friday night and you're not having a rehearsal, you are last minute.
You're the last minute pastor.
Out. Yes. You are the last minute pastor. You are the problem.
But in this video, we're going to focus more on what we see a lot of people talk about in responses to these videos, Facebook groups and things like that. Conversations about this is my senior pastor, you're the worship leader, and the senior pastor makes last minute requests.
How dare him.
Yes, last minute requests that cause you to change your plans that you have previously made.
Yeah. There's two ways to look at it. There's always two sides of the coin, right? There is the reality that maybe your senior pastor or whoever's in charge is legitimately just last minute.
Yes.
He's a procrastinator. He makes last minute decisions all the time. You know, if he's super spiritual, he'll blame it on the Holy Spirit. You know, whatever you want to do. But the reality is...
you opened a totally different can of worms.
Yeah, so that'll be part of it.
We're going to make that video next.
Yeah. You might just be led by someone who's very last minute in procrastination. Yeah. That's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is that you might perceive reality wrong.
Okay.
A lot of times things happen and, you know, something will happen once or twice. And then we'll just lie to ourselves and make it seem like it happens all the time.
Yeah.
So I think you got to balance the reality of, am I really dealing with a last minute person here? Or are there things wrong with our system that I could help fix?
Yeah, so here's a couple points that I think are important off the top. One, if you're a worship leader, it's your job to submit to the leadership of the pastor who's in charge of you, right? Or who's in leadership over you. That's your job. That's part of what you are. That's part of how the church is structured.
Yep.
And we talk about this a lot in the worship manual. The importance of submission to your pastor.
Yeah.
And if you can't submit to your pastor,
conversations must happen.
You got to talk about that, and you've got to work through that. But you need to submit to your pastor. And then the other thing is like your pastor, whether we do song A or B, it's not that big a deal really. But your pastor might think so.
Yeah, and if he does, then that's
your pastor might email you consistently on Saturday night and say, you know, we were planning to do How Great Is Our God as at the end of the message, and I want to do Mighty to Save. Make it happen. Yeah. And that's where people are struggling.
Sure, yeah.
So what can we do as worship leaders? And I can think of a few things right up front that need to happen, not in the moment, not on the Saturday night. Let's talk about how you respond to the Saturday night request thing, or Friday night, or whatever it is. Anytime after plans and rehearsals are done. But there's also things you can do ahead of time to talk to your pastor about this situation. Yeah. So let's talk about how do you respond on Saturday night? Because we have a response that we always say basically to our pastor, and it's yes, but.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So if your pastor emails you Saturday night or calls you with a change that he wants to make, first of all, you got to trust a little bit that he's not just sitting in his room going, how could I make this difficult for everyone?
Right. That's not their
You gotta understand where they're coming from. And if they feel like, man, if we do this would be the perfect song. The next step for us is what's it going to cost?
Yes.
Okay. Here's what it's going to cost.
That's the but.
On Saturday night, here's what it. And let me really state this. It doesn't really matter what it costs me. because I'm the worship pastor.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that gets paid to make it happen.
Yes.
So I can't have my feelings hurt or, oh, now it's more work for me. Get rid of that.
Or if you're not paid, you're
the guy.
You've been given the responsibility of making it happen.
Your job is to make it happen. So put all your personal stuff aside. Now, one difference would be if it's a song I couldn't do.
Yeah.
Like if I physically, if he wants like a Ty Tribbett song or something, I'm like, I physically can't do this, or the band physically can't play it, then that's what is it going to cost? And I'll say, hey, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good, but we'll do it.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, he'll be like, well, if it's not going to be good. Now let's assume it can be good. Then what's it going to cost my volunteers?
Yes.
If now the whole band has to spend 2 hours practicing, for one, it's Saturday night.
Yeah.
They're probably not even going to get my email till Sunday morning. So what I do in these situations is I say, okay, I'll do the song, but I'm going to do it just me on my guitar.
Yeah.
Because now I can hang up the phone and I can go practice for an hour or 2 hours or whatever I got to do to pull it off. Because I believe that it's important to the pastor. I believe that it's a moment. Now, if this happens every Saturday, probably about the 3rd time, I'm going to say, can we have coffee this week?
Yes.
So there's
now
some
we're transitioning to the other conversation.
There's a couple things I'd like to talk to you about.
Yes.
And that's where you sit down and here's the thing. A lot of pastors have no idea what it takes to pull off a song.
Yes.
They don't know that, wait, the drummer has to learn it?
And that's the but. Yes.
Yes.
But. So we always say, like, this is how we respond to the pastor.
Yeah.
Yes, we can do it.
Yeah.
But this is what it's going to cost. If you can communicate to your pastor, yes, but it's going to cost.
Yeah.
Like putting our frustration. Mm-hmm. It's going to make our volunteers feel very frustrated.
Yeah.
It's going to come at the cost of better transitions and smoother worship on Sunday because now we're going to have to steal time that we were going to use practicing the songs that we've already got in the transitions, and we're going to have to take away from that and practice this new song that nobody knows is coming.
Yeah.
And so it's going to make everything sound worse.
Yeah.
Right? And it's going to cause volunteers to be you could say there are volunteers who are really frustrated because we make changes a lot, Pastor. And you say this all in love. Yeah. Right? And understand that you're still in submission to their authority. Yeah. But you can still communicate these things and say, there are volunteers who have been growing frustrated and talking to me about that, and this is going to add to that. And so if you put all of that out in front of your pastor and don't you're not an attorney filing a case against your pastor. That's right. You're just simply Exhibit D. You're just simply telling
here's an email from Chuck.
We can do it, but this is what it is going to cost. Yeah. And you're still because you're still in submission to that pastor, you say, would you still like us to do it? Yeah. That's the way we respond to that. And you've got to have a relationship with that person that is honest enough and there's enough respect from both sides that you can have that and it doesn't turn into like a fight. Yeah. It might be helpful to sit down with your pastor and say, let me explain how we pick songs and what the process is. So now we're talking about now we're moving away from the Saturday night conversation or Friday night whatever, the last minute conversation. Let's talk about how to communicate, because it all comes down to communication. Like it's the thing. There's 2 aspects here: respect and understanding your role and how you are to submit to a pastor, but that pastor has to respect you as well. Yeah, it goes both ways. Respect and communication. Yeah. And so there's communication that happens in the moment, but now let's talk about communication that happens way before the moment, right? So how do we sit down with a pastor, take them to lunch first of all, or take them to coffee? Like you pay for it. That's a sign. You know what it says in Proverbs? If you want an audience with the king, bring a gift. Bring a gift. That's right. Okay? Your pastor's not a king, but the principle still stands. Yeah. Right? So what do we talk about with him? So I think the first thing is to accept where you are. You have to know where you're at. Yeah. Because let's be honest, a lot of us are guilty of the same thing. Yes. But when someone else does it, oh my gosh, we're so last minute. Yes. But let me ask you this. How planned out are you right now? Yeah. Do you have your team scheduled for the rest of the month? Do you have your songs picked for the rest of the month? Yeah. There's a lot of work you can do on the front end. Now, I know what a lot of people think, well, I don't want to plan it out knowing it's all going to change. But let me ask you this. Valid, yeah. Would you rather have 4 things change or 1 thing change? That's also valid. And so our philosophy is this. We'll pick all 4 songs, and then we'll submit them to our pastor weeks out in an ideal situation and say, hey,
This is what we're thinking.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times, if the pastor looks at it and goes, yeah, that feels good, he's not going to change anything.
And you know what that does? Like, your pastor's under a great deal of stress. Like, they're probably dealing with way more stuff than you're dealing with.
I promise you.
Right? So, like, if you can take work off of their plate, they're going to love you for it.
Yes.
And that is going to be something that blesses them.
And they're going to know, I met with him last month about this.
Yes.
I want to respect that. I'm not going to... And then so they start to feel the weight, man, if I'm going to make this change... I'm kind of messing with some people. So it becomes less likely that... But right now, if you're operating under the system where Friday, Saturday night, we pick songs and stuff, then what are they changing, really?
Yeah.
There's no reason. But when you can create systems and you can... It's called... Maxwell calls it 360-degree leadership. Yeah. He or she is your leader, but you're also leading them.
Yeah.
You're leading them in this area. You're leading them, and so you're leading the conversation. And I just think there's a lot of things as worship leaders we could probably fix ourselves if we just took the bull by the horns, made some decisions, and became very proactive.
Yeah. So you need to have a conversation, and you need to bring your pastor in on it and say, like, look, I'd like our worship team to have more organization and more planning in an effort to make Sunday mornings or whenever you do your worship services to make it better, to raise the level of excellence because we're going to be more prepared, and to honor our volunteers. Those are the two reasons. And if a pastor is not going to be on board with that,
you got some other issues.
I can't imagine.
You got some other issues.
And so, in an effort to accomplish to make these two things better, I would like to plan songs out a month in advance. You got to make that. You got to do it.
Shoot for a month, and if you hit 2 weeks, great. You're 2 weeks further along.
And in that, and I say, I want to submit to your leadership and give you the opportunity to speak into that process.
Yeah. Before Friday.
I'm going to plan out a month of songs.
Yeah.
And say this is a Monday. You're having this conversation. On Thursday, let's have a meeting. Yeah. And I'm going to give it to you. Yeah. Like these are the songs I've planned out. Whatever system you use, and then maybe next week you can. But don't put this current Sunday on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And then we can come back. But would you recommend I think a weekly meeting with a pastor
in an ideal world
is a good place.
In an ideal world, like a month ahead.
Early in the week, you have a meeting with like a Monday or Tuesday meeting. Hopefully a Monday meeting, and you look over this coming Sunday, which should have been planned weeks out already, and say, are we still on track? Yep. Want to make any changes? Like today or tomorrow is going to be your deadline.
Yeah, exactly, because we have rehearsal, hopefully.
Yeah. And like, let's look at the next few weeks. Yeah. And I think a weekly, a recurring meeting like that, but it's all about communication. Yeah. Right. That would be an ideal situation. But you're still going to have the last minute thing. Yeah. But you've got to defer to the pastor, and you've got to assume. I think another point here is we need to assume the best about people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We can often assume that the pastor's doing this.
He's out to get me, man.
Like, obviously, I think if you think that, you step back and think, the pastor's not really trying to, going out of their way to make my life more difficult. Yeah. Yeah. But it feels that way when it comes all the time. Yeah. But you need to assume the best about your pastor. Like, they want the Holy Spirit to work and to move in the most powerful way. And just remember, you and your pastor, we made a video about this in the worship manual. Which is our online course for worship leaders, and it's called Your Most Important Relationship. Yes. And we're talking about a vocational relationship. Yeah. Obviously, your relationship with Christ and your family come before your work relationships. But like your most important relationship in your church is between you and that worship leader pastor relationship. Is so important, and you need to fight to protect it and to make it as good as it possibly can be.
And I would say one other thing: if you're just on the worship team. And you're not the worship leader, and you're going,
we do
dang
get
it.
A lot of those.
Yeah. How do I help my worship leader do this? First of all, make them watch this video, and second of all, just try to help.
You can have the same conversation.
Have the same conversation.
You can have that conversation with your worship pastor. Yeah. Just look, this is what it's costing us. Yeah. I can speak on my behalf, and maybe I've had conversations, but don't encourage gossip.
Please don't.
But like. People are saying, like, this is really hard for us.
Never start a conversation with, Well,
So-and-so
you know,
told me.
there's a lot of people on our team that have told me
Yeah, don't
that
say
they're
that.
extremely unhappy with you. Because if you start a conversation like that with me, I'm already shutting you off.
That's right.
I will say this, if people have talked to you, because if you ask me that question, the first thing I'm going to say, who?
Yeah.
Who said what? And I'm not talking about gossip. I want to know who's frustrated.
Yeah.
And so if I legitimately come to you with that, I'm going to say, hey, listen, I've talked to ba, and here are the feelings they've expressed.
Yeah.
And I'll let those people know, hey, I'm going to go tell them you said this. Is that cool?
Yeah.
You know, otherwise, I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, but you can have that conversation like, this is what it's costing us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just want you to know. And then the second thing you should say is, let me know how I can help.
Yeah.
Like that statement will disarm any tension.
Yep.
Because it tells the person you're there to help. It tells the person that you are submitting to their authority because you want to help them, and it tells them that you are willing to do something to make it better. And that right there is going to make a big difference to your worship leader. If you're a volunteer, how can I help?
Yep.
And you could say like, I can help choose songs. That's kind of a thing that worship leaders hold close to their heart.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah.
But like, I can help communicate things to people.
That's right.
Right? And so if you come with those two things in love, in grace, in respect, I think that's that 360-degree leadership.
Yeah.
Thing. Thank you all so much for watching. Hey, subscribe if you haven't before. We got more Worship Leader Wednesday videos coming every Wednesday. But all kinds of stuff coming all the time.
All the time.
See you in the next one. Bye.